A few years back, I bought a Martin Streetmaster solid mahogany distressed guitar for $1,400, and because of COVID-19, I recently had to sell it. I've been cut back in my hours, and I took this cheap $85 Jasmine Takamine S35 and I distressed it to make it look old, and I wanted to show you what I used and just show you the guitar and sort of tell you how I did all this. So here it is. What we could see on the bridge pins, they're just cheap plastic bridge pins, and I took them out and I dipped them in white paint, and then I took a permanent marker and I put dots on them, and it makes them look a little bit vintage. The sticker on the inside, I was going to tear the entire thing out so people wouldn't know it was a Jasmine, but I couldn't get it to come all the way off. And right here you can see that there's a ring that goes around that sound hole, and it is embedded into the wood, and I cut it and that started to come out, and that would have looked awful. So luckily I was able to get it stick down in there, so don't go too hard on that. You can use a Dremel tool. I got this a few years back for Father's Day. You can use that to make scratches and etches in it, but this box cutter is what I used, and I just scraped down this guitar all over the place, and I got the black shoe polish there, and I put it on a rag and I ran it down into those cracks to really define them and rub it down, and then I'd put alcohol on it and rub it down. And some of them I would get really deep. This is a carving tool from Harbor Freight. You can get down in there and take big chunks out, and then put that shoe polish in there. You could probably use brown shoe polish, and then I just took little chunks out just everywhere of different sizes and put the shoe polish in there, and that one up top. And then I'd sand it down and make it smooth and make it look like it was just put there by running a pick or your fingernails over it thousands of times before. And it just really turned out nice from what I think about it. And it's the same way with all those indentions. I just carefully carved it down into the wood, and then I put the black shoe polish on there and put the alcohol on there and cleaned it off, and it just stayed deep down into those cracks and crevices that I made in the wood. That big one, and if you just look at these locations, I looked at a lot of old guitars, and this is where the locations were. And just carving it out carefully, shaving pieces of the wood off very carefully. That's all that I did on this thing. And then I would sand it down, like I said. Now beforehand, I sanded the entire thing down. I sanded the entire glossy part off of it, just so I could work with it better, because that stuff would break and crack. And I'd go around the edges with the shoe polish. This is a simple project. Look at an old guitar, look at this guitar, and see how much you want to do. You may not want to do. The key is this guitar lacquer, vintage amber color tone. After I finished all of the cracks and crevices, is $31.70, the most expensive part of the project. After I finished all the cracks and crevices and shoe polish and sanded it down, I hit it with that vintage amber. I put a lot of coats, and that's why it looks sort of orange looking. You want to have more of a dark yellow color. I wore out the sound hole a little bit, looked like fingernails or whatever went in that sound hole, and just chips and scratches and crevices and indentions all over the place. But if you like it, all you've got to do is sort of take a screenshot or a picture of it and imitate it. Do yours the same way. Like I said, after looking at lots of guitars, I could see that this is where the main distress places were. I wanted a heavy Relic. Now that's where the vintage amber came off inside that P when I was sanding it or chipping at it or something like that. and the lines there, you can just see them. They're all over the place. It's a heavy Relic. My wife made this sticker with a Cricut. You can see this in the video before of this review. Maybe I didn't have it on there at that time. She made that with a Cricut, and I just sprayed over it and sanded it down, make it look like an old sticker. The headstock there, I went around it, cut the edges off, put the black shoe polish on it, sanded it down. It used to say Takamine on there, and I sanded that down just so it looks like a stock regular guitar. I took the tuners off and sanded it down. I sanded down the back of the neck, all the lacquer that was on it. I sanded on the tuners. Notice I've still got them numbered. I sanded them down to make them look like they're old and reliced and wore out. I just went crazy on this guitar, and I absolutely love it. I like the way it looks. People see it and they're like, oh, I can't believe that guitar. It must be 200 years old. And I'm like, no, I just like the way it looks. Now the back, I'm unhappy with it because of the color of the guitar. It was not a dark back. It was like an orange color. I put lots of scratches and scrapes, and I like put it on concrete, and I scraped it across the concrete. But then I've done the shoe polish, and what I really need is a dark lacquer to spray it down, because most guitars, the back and sides are a dark color. And that's what I would like to eventually do with the back and the sides. But I'm not doing it anytime soon. But yeah, this is it. I love it. It's turned out well. And you don't see very many Relic, heavy Relic acoustics out there. There's tons of electrics. But just use your imagination. But don't go too much at first, because you can always go a little bit more, but you can't go backwards like I did with that ring around there. So this is it. If you got any questions, leave a question, leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. God bless.